I never thought the sound of my own front door opening would make my blood run cold. But there they were, my parents and brothers, standing in my living room like they owned the place, suitcases in hand, talking about moving in permanently. For 10 years, I scraped together every penny to buy this house, while they lived their comfortable lives. That's when I discovered they'd been telling everyone in town that we were all co-owners, and my mother had already given duplicate keys to half the neighborhood. What I did next changed everything, and exposed family secrets that had been buried for decades. By the end of this story, you'll see exactly how I turned the tables on the people who thought they could steal my American dream. But before we continue, check if you're already subscribed to the channel and write in the comments, where are you watching this video from? The sound of laughter drifts through my kitchen window as I pull into my driveway after a 14-hour shift at the textile factory. My bones ache from operating heavy machinery since 5 this morning, but the sight of my blue Victorian house with its white wraparound porch never fails to lift my spirits. I bought this place 6 months ago after 10 years of relentless saving, working double shifts, and eating instant ramen while my coworkers ordered takeout. Something feels different as I approach the front steps. The porch light is on, though I distinctly remember switching it off this morning. My stomach tightens as I noticed muddy footprints on the white boards I scrubbed clean last weekend. The front door stands slightly ajar, warm light spilling onto the porch from my living room. My hand trembles as I push the door open wider. The scene that greets me defies comprehension. My parents sit on my sofa like they're hosting a tea party. My mother arranging fresh flowers in my grandmother's vase, while my father reads my newspaper. 3 large suitcases crowd the hallway, and I can hear my brother Marcus rummaging through my kitchen cabinets upstairs. There she is. Mom jumps up with theatrical enthusiasm, arms spread wide for an embrace. I don't return. Welcome home, sweetheart. We thought we'd surprise you. Dad folds the paper with satisfaction, as if he's just finished reading the morning edition at his own breakfast table. Hope you don't mind us letting ourselves in. Your spare key was exactly where you said it would be. The spare key? I'd mentioned its hiding spot during a casual phone conversation 3 weeks ago, never imagining they'd use the information to stage an invasion. My mind races as I try to process this violation of my sanctuary. The place where I finally found peace after years of sharing cramped apartments with strangers. What are you doing here? The question comes out sharper than intended, but I'm too exhausted to soften the edges. Mom's smile falters for just a moment before brightening again with renewed determination. We're moving in! Isn't that wonderful? The family's all together again under one roof, just like when you were little. The comparison hits like a physical blow. When I was little, we lived in a 2-bedroom rental where I slept on a pull-out couch until I turned 16. My parents occupied the master bedroom while Marcus claimed the smaller room, insisting that as the baby of the family, he needed privacy more than his older sister. I spent my teenage years studying by the light of the refrigerator after everyone else had gone to bed. Marcus thunders down the stairs, with my favorite coffee mug in his hands. The one I bought myself last Christmas, with "World's Hardest Worker" printed in gold letters. He's gained weight since I last saw him, his old college sweatshirt straining across his belly. At 26, he still carries himself with the confidence of someone who's never had to work for anything meaningful. Hey, sis. He plops into my leather recliner, the one I saved 8 months to afford, and props his feet on my coffee table. Nice place you got here. Much better than that shoebox apartment you used to have. The casual way he claims my space as his own makes my jaw clench. This isn't a visit. They've moved in permanently. Dad clears his throat with the authority he's wielded over family decisions since I was born. We need to discuss the living arrangements. Rebecca, your mother and I will take the master bedroom. Naturally, Marcus can have the guest room, and you can use that small room upstairs. It'll be like old times. Like old times. The phrase echoes in my mind as I remember sharing hand-me-down clothes with cousins while Marcus got new everything. Watching my parents attend every single one of his baseball games while missing my high school graduation because they had to work. The countless times I cooked dinner for the family while still in middle school because Mom was too tired from her part-time job at the boutique. This is my house, I say slowly, as if explaining something complex to children. I bought it. My name is on the mortgage. You can't just move in here. Mom reaches for my hand with the practiced gesture of someone accustomed to smoothing over conflicts. Oh, honey, don't be silly. We're family. Family shares everything. The irony isn't lost on me. For 10 years, while I worked factory jobs and cleaned office buildings at night, they never once offered to help with my rent or student loan payments. When I applied for a mortgage and needed a co-signer, Dad said my credit wasn't good enough to risk his reputation. Yet here they sit, expecting to share the benefits of my sacrifice without having contributed a single dollar. Marcus stretches in my chair like he's settling in for a long stay. Besides, it's way too much house for just one person. You should be grateful for the company. Grateful? The word tastes bitter as I recall all the times I felt grateful just to have a family at all, even one that consistently treated me as an afterthought. I excuse myself to the kitchen, needing space to think clearly. My hands shake as I fill the coffee maker, muscle memory from countless early mornings preparing for another day of manual labor. Through the window, I notice Mrs. Patterson from next door peering through her curtains with obvious curiosity. She waves when she sees me, then holds up 5 fingers and points toward my front door. 5 people saw my family arrive. The realization hits me like cold water. They didn't sneak in quietly. They made a spectacle of moving in, ensuring the neighbors witnessed their grand entrance. This wasn't impulsive. They planned this invasion carefully, timing it for maximum visibility and social pressure. In a small town like Millfield, appearances matter more than truth. My phone buzzes with a text from my friend Jenny, who lives across the street. Saw your family moving in today. So exciting that you're all living together again. Your mom looked so happy. The message confirms my suspicions. They've already started spreading their version of events, positioning themselves as welcome house guests, rather than unwelcome intruders. I open my laptop on the kitchen counter and pull up my bank statements, mortgage documents, and homeowner's insurance policy. Every piece of paper bears my name alone. Rebecca Marie Torres, sole owner of 12 Maple Street. I screenshot each document and save them to a secure folder. If this situation escalates, I'll need proof of ownership. A memory surfaces as I organize the files. Last month, Dad called asking about my investment property. I'd corrected him then, explaining that this was my primary residence, not an investment. He'd laughed and said something about how smart I was to get into real estate so young. At the time, his misunderstanding seemed harmless. Now I recognize it as the foundation for tonight's ambush. Marcus appears in the doorway, still holding my coffee mug. We should talk about household expenses, he announces with the confidence of someone accustomed to others handling his bills. Mom thinks we should split everything for ways. Utilities, groceries, maintenance costs. It's only fair since we're all living here now. The audacity takes my breath away. They want me to subsidize their living expenses in my own home while they contribute nothing to the mortgage. That's consuming 40% of my income. This isn't about family unity. It's about financial convenience at my expense. The next morning, Premier walk at 4:30 as always, but the house feels different. Foreign voices drift from downstairs. My mother humming while making breakfast in my kitchen. The smell of bacon fills the air. Expensive bacon I definitely didn't buy. They're already treating this place like their personal resort. I dress quietly and slip out the back door for my usual pre-work walk around the neighborhood. The early morning air helps me think clearly. Away from the chaos my family has introduced into my sanctuary, Mrs. Patterson catches me at the end of her driveway, already dressed and watering her rose bushes. Rebecca D. She waves enthusiastically. I'm so happy about your family situation. Your mother stopped by yesterday evening and told me the whole story. My stomach drops as Mrs. Patterson continues with obvious delight in sharing gossip. She explained how you insisted they move in to help with the mortgage payments. Such a mature decision for someone your age. The lie is so smooth, so believable, that I almost admire its construction. Mom has rewritten history, portraying their invasion as my desperate plea for financial assistance. In her version, I'm the struggling homeowner begging family for help, not the independent woman who saved every penny to achieve this dream alone. She mentioned how worried you've been about making the payments, Mrs. Patterson adds, with sympathetic concern. I had no idea things were so tight for you. You always seem so put together. I force a smile while my mind races through the implications. How many neighbors has mom told this story to? How many people now believe I'm financially irresponsible? 2 blocks later, I encounter Bob Henderson from the hardware store. Heard ya folks moved in with you, he says with approval. Smart to have help with that big old place. Houses like that eat money faster than you can make it. Another neighbor. Another version of mom's carefully crafted narrative reaching sympathetic ears. By the time I reach the factory, I've counted 7 people who've mentioned my family's generous help with my financial struggles. Each conversation adds another layer to their public relations campaign, painting me as the grateful beneficiary of their rescue mission, rather than the victim of their calculated invasion. My supervisor notices my distraction during the morning safety meeting. Everything all right, Torres? You seem off today. I consider confiding in him but realize how crazy the truth would sound. My family broke into my house and moved in permanently. Even I struggled to believe it really happened. That evening, I return home to find the living situation has become even more entrenched. Dad has rearranged my furniture to accommodate a massive reclining chair he somehow acquired during the day. Mom has replaced my minimalist kitchen accessories with her collection of rooster-themed decorations. Marcus has claimed my home office as his gaming room, complete with a setup that must have cost more than my monthly grocery budget. The changes feel like a systematic erasure of my identity, replacing my carefully chosen belongings with their preferences and priorities. This isn't sharing space, it's colonization. I retreat to my bedroom, the only room they haven't invaded yet, and call my Aunt Linda, Mom's sister who lives 3 states away. Linda, I need to ask you something about Mom and Dad's financial situation. The line goes quiet for a long moment before Linda sighs deeply. What's happened now? Her tone suggests this isn't the first time my parents have created a crisis requiring family intervention. The story Linda tells me rewrites everything I thought I knew about my family's history. 3 months ago, my parents were evicted from their rental house for non-payment. They've been staying in extended stay motels and friends' spare rooms ever since, burning through their meager savings while maintaining the facade of stability. Your father got laid off last winter, Linda explains with obvious frustration. Too proud to tell you kids. So they've been pretending everything's fine, while drowning in debt. I loaned them $1,500 last month just to keep them fed. The revelation hits like a physical blow. While I was celebrating my homeownership milestone, my parents were secretly becoming homeless. But Linda isn't finished. Your brother, Marcus, got evicted too, lost his apartment when he got fired from that sales job in March. He's been staying with them, so when they lost their place, all 3 became homeless together. The entire family has been in financial freefall while presenting themselves to me as stable and successful. Why didn't they tell me? I ask, though part of me already knows the answer. Linda's laugh is bitter. Same reason they never told you about the bankruptcy when you were in high school, or the time your father got arrested for check fraud. They maintain appearances at all costs, even when it makes everything worse. Check fraud, another family secret I was never told. How many other lies have shaped my understanding of the people who raised me? The next day, I use my lunch break to visit Thompson & Associates, the law firm that handled my house closing. Sarah Thompson, the attorney who guided me through the buying process, listens with growing concern as I explain the situation. Her expression grows more serious with each detail. What you're describing constitutes illegal entry and unlawful occupancy, she says, making notes on a legal pad. The fact that they gained entry using information you shared doesn't give them legal right to remain in your home. She pauses to consult a thick legal book before continuing. However, removing family members who've established residency patterns can be complicated. My heart sinks as she explains the legal complexities. Because my parents have begun receiving mail at my address and have been there for more than 48 hours, they've technically established tenant rights. Removing them could require a formal eviction process that might take months and cost thousands of dollars I don't have. There's another concern, Sarah adds, flipping through my case file. If they've been telling neighbors they're co-owners or that you requested their financial assistance, they could potentially claim adverse possession or argue they have a verbal agreement to share ownership. The legal jargon makes my head spin, but the implications are clear. My family's lies could have serious legal consequences for my homeownership. Sarah recommends immediate action to document everything. photographs of my belongings before they were moved, copies of all financial records proving sole ownership, written statements from neighbors about what my family told them. We need to establish a clear timeline showing this was unauthorized entry, not a planned living arrangement, she explains. The consultation fee depletes my lunch money for the week, but Sarah's final advice is invaluable. Don't let them establish any deeper residency patterns, no joint utility accounts, no shared leases, no official address changes. The longer this continues, the stronger their legal position becomes. As I walk back to the factory, the weight of legal action ahead feels heavier than any machinery I operate. I realize that fighting my own family in court would make me the villain in their narrative. The daughter who called lawyers on her struggling parents, the sister who chose property over family loyalty. In a town like Millfield, that reputation could follow me forever. But the alternative is worse. Losing the home I sacrificed everything to achieve. Saturday morning, I wake to find a handwritten note on my kitchen counter. Gone to breakfast at Rosie's with the family. Join us. Love, Mom. The casual invitation to my own family breakfast feels like another small violation, but it also presents an opportunity. Rosie's Diner sits at the heart of Millfield's social scene, where information travels faster than coffee refills. I arrive to find them holding court at the large corner booth, surrounded by neighbors and acquaintances drawn into their carefully constructed narrative. Mom gestures animatedly while describing their temporary stay to help their overwhelmed daughter manage her ambitious home purchase. Each word is chosen for maximum sympathy and minimum truth. Rebecca. Dad waves me over with theatrical enthusiasm. We saved you a seat, sweetheart. The empty space beside Marcus feels like a trap, but I slide in anyway, noting how every eye in the diner tracks my movement. This isn't breakfast. It's a public performance designed to cement their version of events in the community's collective memory. Rosie herself approaches our table with a warm smile and coffee pot in hand. So wonderful to see the Torres family together again, she says, filling my cup without asking. Your mother was just telling everyone how proud she is of your success. Takes courage to ask family for help when you need it. The comment hits like a slap, delivered with such kindness that correcting it would make me seem ungrateful. I notice several neighbors nodding approvingly from nearby tables. In TRIs, I'm the responsible daughter who swallowed her pride to accept family assistance, not the homeowner whose boundaries were violated. Marcus leans forward with practiced sincerity. We're just happy we could help. Family takes care of family, right? His performance is masterful, painting himself as the generous brother, sacrificing his independence to support his struggling sister. The irony of an unemployed 26-year-old claiming to help anyone financially would be laughable if it weren't so effectively manipulative. Mom reaches across the table to squeeze my hand with theatrical affection. We raised you to know that family comes first, didn't we, sweetheart? The question demands public agreement, trapping me between honesty and social harmony. Every face in the diner waits for my response, ready to judge my character based on how I treat my generous family. Actually, I say, clearly, my voice carrying two nearby tables. There's something I need to clarify. The diner falls silent as I withdraw a manila folder from my purse, placing it deliberately on the scratched formica table. I want everyone to understand the real situation here. Mom's smile falters as I open the folder to reveal documents I organized yesterday evening. This is my mortgage statement, showing that I alone am responsible for the monthly payments on my house. I slide the paper toward the center of the table where curious neighbors can see my name printed clearly as the sole This is my homeowner's insurance policy, with me as the only covered resident. Another document joins the first. These are my bank statements showing 10 years of deposits into my house fund. Every dollar earned through factory work and weekend cleaning jobs. Dad's face reddens as he realizes I've come prepared for battle. Rebecca, this isn't appropriate dinner conversation. His authoritative tone, which once silenced my childhood questions, now sounds desperate. Family matters should be discussed privately. Family matters. I let the phrase hang in the air before continuing. Is that what we're calling breaking into someone's house and moving in without permission? A collective gasp ripples through the diner as neighboring tables strain to hear every word. The social theater my family orchestrated has become my stage. Rosie hovers nearby, coffee pot forgotten as she witnesses drama unfolding in her establishment. Other customers have stopped pretending to focus on their meals, openly staring at our table where 3 generations of family dysfunction play out in real time. Mom attempts damage control with tears that appear on cue. Sweetheart, you're embarrassing us. People will think we're terrible parents. Her wounded mother act has worked countless times before, guilting me into silence and compliance. Today, it only strengthens my resolve. Let me tell you what terrible parents do. I continue, my voice steady, despite my pounding heart. They let their daughter sleep on a couch for 6 years so their son can have privacy. They miss her graduation to attend his baseball game. They refuse to co-sign her mortgage application, but expect to benefit from her success. Marquez shifts uncomfortably as I continue. Terrible parents raise one child to believe she exists, to serve others while teaching their son that the world owes him everything. The accuracy of my words is reflected in the recognition dawning on familiar faces around the diner. These people have known us for decades. They've witnessed the family dynamics I'm describing. Mrs. Henderson from the flower shop speaks first, her voice cutting through the tense silence. I remember when Rebecca was 14 and working at the grocery store after school while Marcus played video games all day. Her comment opens floodgates of community memory, neighbors suddenly recalling details they'd previously overlooked. She paid for her own prom dress, adds Janet from the post office. I remember because she counted out crumpled bills at Miller's boutique while her mother shopped for Marcus's baseball cleats. Each observation builds upon the last, creating a public reckoning with the Torres family mythology. Bob, from the hardware store, joins the chorus of belated recognition. Come to think of it, I never saw Rebecca ask for help with anything. Fixed her own car, painted her own apartment, moved her own furniture. His statement carries the weight of someone who's watched me struggle independently for years. The community's collective memory begins reframing decades of interactions, replacing the narrative my parents crafted with observed reality. I watch my family's carefully maintained image crumble as people remember what they'd been conditioned to ignore. Dad makes one last desperate attempt to regain control. This is all very hurtful, Rebecca. After everything we've sacrificed for you kids, his words ring hollow in the face of documented evidence and community testimony. The sacrifices he references exist only in his imagination. What sacrifices? I challenge directly. Name one thing you gave up for me specifically. The question hangs unanswered as he struggles to provide examples that don't exist. His silence is more damning than any accusation I could make. Mom tries a different approach, appealing to religious sentiment that runs deep in small-town communities. The Bible says to honor your father and mother. Rebecca, what you're doing isn't Christian. Her manipulation attempt backfires as several church members exchange uncomfortable glances, recognizing the twisted use of scripture to justify exploitation. Reverend Miller, who's been quietly eating breakfast at the counter, turns in his stool to address our table. The Bible also says parents shouldn't exasperate their children. Seems like there's been plenty of that going around. His gentle rebuke carries the moral authority Mom tried to claim for herself. The tide of public opinion shifts decisively as community members who've watched me work tirelessly for years finally voiced their recognition of the imbalanced family dynamics they've long observed but never questioned. 3 weeks later, I stand on my front porch, watching the last of their belongings disappear into a rental truck. The legal pressure, combined with community disapproval, finally convinced my family that staying was impossible. Their departure feels less like victory than liberation from a weight I'd carried so long I'd forgotten how heavy it was. The house feels enormous in its emptiness, every room echoing with possibility rather than tension. I've changed the locks and installed a security system, practical steps that also provide psychological comfort. This space is truly mine now, protected from future invasions. My phone buzzes with supportive messages from neighbors who've become unexpected allies. Mrs. Patterson invites me for Sunday dinner. Bob offers to help with yard work. Janet mentions a book club that meets Tuesday evenings. The community support feels foreign after years of isolation, but I'm learning to accept kindness without suspicion. Work becomes more meaningful knowing I'm building something permanent and secure. My supervisor mentions a promotion opportunity that would mean better hours and higher pay. For the first time in years, Career advancement feels possible because I'm not supporting 3 other adults with my earnings. The empty bedrooms await transformation into spaces that reflect my interests and dreams. A home office where I can pursue the business degree I've always wanted. A reading room filled with books I'll actually have time to enjoy. A guest room for friends who respect boundaries and contribute positively to my life. My phone rings with a call from Aunt Linda, checking on the situation. "I'm proud of you for standing up to them," she says, with genuine admiration. "It took courage I wish I'd had at your age." Her validation means more than my parents' approval ever did. Coming from someone who understands the family dynamics without benefiting from them. That evening, I sit in my reclaimed living room with a cup of coffee in my favorite mug, reading a book in comfortable silence. The peace feels earned rather than given, built on foundations of self-respect and clear boundaries. For 10 years, I worked toward this moment of security and independence. Outside my window, Millfield continues its small-town rhythm, but I'm no longer invisible within it. I'm Rebecca Torres, homeowner, factory worker, and woman who chose self-respect over family approval. The house around me stands as proof that individual determination can overcome family dysfunction, that dreams deferred aren't dreams denied. Tomorrow I'll wake up at 4:30 as always, but the sacrifice will serve only my future, not others' comfort. This house isn't just my shelter. It's my declaration of independence from people who confused love with exploitation and family with obligation. I'm 29 years old, and I finally own more than just property. I own my story.